T.B.Photo X1.5 to FX, and welcome back to another video. Well, this time we're actually going to start a new series, and this is Flash Photography with Godzilla, Mamiya RB-67 Professional. Well, as you might have seen in the past, I did a flash photography tutorial or something in that nature with the Mamiya 645 Pro. Well, this time we are gonna do a little bit of a different thing. We're gonna do a similar flash photography tutorial, but instead we're actually gonna upgrade to the studio camera of the 1970s. This was basically a Hasselblad rival, for good or bad, but anyway, introducing Godzilla, the RB-67 Pro. This is the first generation. There was also the Pro S and the Pro SD, and I have some videos where I talk about the assembly and so on of this camera, well, we are gonna do a little bit of a different thing now. We're actually gonna have some advantages with this over the 645 Pro, but also maybe some drawbacks as well. So I thought we will begin with going through those actually. So, what are the pros for using the RB-67 for this flash photo shoot, or whatever you want to call it? Well, I have a cheat sheet here with a few pages that I want to go through actually, so, well, let's start. The pros. The RB-67 is fully mechanical. That means there's no batteries in this whatsoever. Since this camera, all the lenses in this camera's lineup are leaf shutter lenses. That means that we have flash sync at any given shutter speed, and most of the shutter speeds on these lenses, they go from 1 whole second up to 1/400th of a second, including these cameras doesn't have a bulb mode. Instead they have a timer mode, which basically is that you put this on the T setting and you start the exposure with the exposure button, but you end the exposure with the mirror reset button, or lever I should rather say. The film bag that I have in it at the present is empty, so I can show you. So if I put it on T, which it is now, you might be able to hear it. Now it starts the exposure, and then you might not be able to hear it, but just that little depressing of the, like this, and just, there it goes. But it has a really nice sounding, you know, clunk to it. So this is 1/25th of it, 1/125th of a second, and then the resetting, really beautiful sound actually. Yeah, playtime over. But anyway, okay, so we have flash sync at any given shutter speed. The difference was that the 645 only had at 1/60th of a second as a maximum flash sync speed. But also, we have the choice with this one between this, the waist level viewfinder, and we also have the prism viewfinder with ambient light metering, which we are not really able to use with this because we're gonna use flash. But this one is a great viewfinder for using in ambient when you're out and about and shooting with this camera. And if you're gonna be outside with this camera, I highly recommend that you use a neck strap and the Mamiya left hand exposure, you know, holder, which just screws in the tripod socket of the camera. But yeah, that's a little bit of the paraphernalia around this camera, but anyway, we're basically going to use it mostly on a tripod. But okay, let's see here. We also have the positive thing with this one, that we have bigger negatives. We have, well, the 645 has a area of negative that is 27 square centimeters. I'm Swedish, we use the metric system, so you have to use a converter if you want to know what that is in square inches or whatever. But anyway, the 645 has a 27 square centimeter negative, and this one, the RB-67, has a negative area of 42 square centimeters. So we have a basically high resolution. Comparing to the most popular medium format camera, probably the Hasselblad, which is 6 times 6 centimeters, that gives us a surface area of the negative of 36 square centimeters as a comparison. But keep in mind, this one takes photos in a rectangle, while the Hasselblad uses a perfect square. Okay, and we also have the famous rotating back between, so we don't have to physically tilt the camera between horizontal and vertical. So yeah, that's some of the pros using this one. Some of the cons, which there are a few. First of all, we only have PC port sync capability, which is on all the lenses you have the PC port. And the thing with the RB-67 Professional that was a bit remedied in the later versions is that this one is easier to do accidental double exposures on. So yeah, the RB-67 Pro S and the Pro SD had some better functions for that. I think that the SD and later in the Pro S's lifespan, when it was made, they actually did film backs that were electronically with an electronic winder in it, so it would actually feel, when you actually exposed, it would automatically wind to the next frame. But unfortunately, I only have the manual film backs for these cameras, but that's something we have to live with. So yeah, and also we have fewer exposures per 120 roll of film. These ones, the 120 backs for the full size ones, let's see, as you can see here, this is the entire surface area that will take the photo, and there is no film in this film back for now. But anyway, these will only take 10 exposures per 120 roll of film. So that's a little bit, you know, that can be a little bit of a drawback. But we do shoot bigger negatives, so I think they kind of cancel out each other. So then the question might be, why continue with flash? Well, one YouTube photographer that I actually start to follow a bit, and love him or hate him, is a bit controversial, and I know it. It's the angry photographer, the Platonist Ken Wheeler. And I think he says in some of his videos that he basically says that about himself that he has a bit of a strange, obnoxious personality, but still, I've actually bought some lenses of his recommendations, and it seems like the guy actually knows what he's talking about, at least when it comes to photography gear. So basically, one of the things that he talks about is sensor saturation, and that many times that people are so enthralled with new lenses and new flash, you know, new lenses and new types of technology advances in vibration reduction and so on, and autofocus speed, but no one seems to be that interested in flash and light modifiers. That doesn't really get the same type of coverage. So, well, it's still a bit paramount to some styles of photography, you know, like studio, when you can use both ambient and flash. And if you want to check out another video, or rather another YouTuber that also does a bit about flash and lighting and so on, it is McCrdal, and a link to both the channels of the both YouTube channels below in the descriptions. But anyway, we'll see. And also, yeah, of course, I can't forget We have the speedlight king himself, Zack Arias, who also is a master with Flash. And of course we have, and I'm probably gonna butcher this guy's last name, it's Alex Koloskov. He is a jewel photography. He is a advertisement photographer specialized in jewels and precious gemstones and so on, which can be rather tricky to light in a good way. So please check his YouTube channel. It's Photigy. It's spelled P-H-O-T-I-G-Y. So check Alex out, because he is a great inspiration for Flash photography. So we might have some tricks in the bag that wasn't utilized when we did the 645 Flash video. So basically what we have here, I have a circular polarizer. That's a big pro actually for the Mamiya RB-67, because no matter what focal length you have on the lens, almost every lens in the RB-67 lineup uses 77mm filter threads. So basically we have one filter here, circular polarizer. What do we have more? We have a blue filter for black and white. We have a red filter also for black and white. Let's see here. I have this one, which I fairly recently acquired. It's a 3-filter setup of neutral density filters, which I know that there's a lot of controversy today about using filters in modern day photography, but I think that that's mostly for, you know, digital photography. I mean, yes, I know Tony Northrup did a great video about talking about how neutral density filters, you can use focus stacking instead to get a similar effect, excuse me. But the thing is, that's for digital photography. What we're talking about here is analog photography, and in that aspect, I think that neutral density filters, circular polarizers, and when you do black and white, these color graded filters, they have a legitimate use. And also I have this last filter here, which is kind of special. It's a 77mm, and let's see here if I can get it right. It's a 720 nanometers IR pass filter, which means that it will only let infrared radiation through. And couple that with a film that I have some of these rolls lying around. It's the Ilford SFX 200 ISO. Excuse me. It is a black and white film made by Ilford that is sensitive into the infrared spectrum. So basically a cheap IR filter and Ilford IR sensitive black and white film. That might be something for a future video, and do, you know, some outdoor portraits or outdoor landscapes with that combination with the RB-67. But that might be in the future when summer is here for real. But anyway, we also have some other, you know, neat little gizmos at hand. For instance, we have this lens that I did a very bad review of in the past. It is the Mamiya F4 Mamiya C-Core SFC F4 150mm soft focus. I mean, this one is a little bit special because it gives us a very 80s effect. I mean, also this lens, it's 1980s Miami Vice Testarossa 80s overload with this. So maybe we'll do some exposures with this lens as well. It has all the features that the normal lens lineup use, but it also comes with this little plethora of filters to give this the soft focus or soft, you know, the softness effect, where the middle of the image is sharp in focus, but then very rapidly towards the edges, you get a very soft effect. So yeah, let's see. And also, what other lenses so we're gonna use? This is the 90mm, which can basically be viewed as a normal lens, and we have a slight zoom lens. This is the 127mm, and it's actually a bit smaller than the 90mm. So we have a 150, a 127, a 90, and what was this now again? This is the 65mm. So we have these, and I also have the 250 and 360mm. Together with, what else do we have? We have a 2x magnifier and some close-up extension rings for this. But anyway, another, as we said before, excuse me. Well, the prism finder only has for ambient light, so we need some way to be able to calculate the f-stop and the best shutter speed for the pictures that we will take. So of course it's the Shepherd light meter, spot light meter, that we're gonna use for this in this little project. And of course we're gonna film some of this for you with both the D7200 and the little Panasonic action cam. So that's a little bit of what we're gonna use. And we're not actually gonna use the Ilford IR film. Instead, we're actually gonna go full lomography with this, and we're gonna use this. It's Agfa Optima 200 ISO film, Agfa Color Optima 200, and it basically says here on the film pack itself, let's see here, process C41 daylight/flash. So this film is made for flash photography. It was expired in the turn of the millennia actually, but I know that people are using maybe, you know, almost 30-year-old film and so on, but this is almost now, it's 18 years old, so it's legal at least. Pun intended, or bad joke, whatever you want to call it. But we're gonna try this, and as I have been told by a lot of sources when it comes to shooting expired film, for every decade that it is expired, you should basically half the ISO performance. So this is a 200 ISO film, and it's not really 20 years old, so I think we're gonna shoot this at 100 ISO instead, because as we all know, it's basically better to overexpose film than underexpose it. So we're gonna use this at 100 ISO. I have shot a roll of this before at box speed, and those negatives came out a little bit dark, so I think that we're gonna do it so that we're gonna use it at 100 ISO, basically half the recommended speed. But anyway, I'm gonna just now take and we're gonna clear away a little bit of this, and I'm gonna load the film in the film bag. So basically we're gonna just take away some of this. Let's see here now. Yeah, and of course we're gonna do basically, I think that most of the images we're gonna take, because we have 10 exposures, and I think we're gonna do them, majority at least, on a tripod. We might try to do one handheld, but we'll see what we're gonna do. Let's see which is which now here. This is the 90, and this is then the 127. There we go, and the Shepherd. Let's see here now. Okay, so there we go. You can do this with the film bag still attached to the camera, but I think this is a little bit better. You have the tab on the side here, opening it up like so. The film holder itself with the advancing lever and so on, and the little, you know, the thing is that when you have exposed a frame on this one, you have to push this to the side and advance the film. I've already changed the old spool to the take-up side, and we're gonna open this now. Let's see here. Agfa Color Optima 200 7 2000 120 film. Color prints for Farbenbilder. Daylight / flash 200 ISO 24 degrees. Okay, let's see here. So yeah, we're gonna use this film and maybe some filters. Well, while I do this, there is a couple of films that I would love to try, either in 120 or 35mm. I know that there is one film I would love to do during the summer, but it is damned expensive. It's about $60 a roll, and it is false color infrared film. If anybody have seen the album cover of the Jimi Hendrix Experience, you know, then you have basically seen, okay, arrow to arrow, and so, put it together, close it. Yeah, it's a color film made for the US Air Force by Kodak when they approached them to do a infrared sensitive film that wasn't black and white but actually was in color. And then Kodak came up with aerochrome, which is a false color film that actually was sold on the civilian market. And one of the most famous pictures taken with the aerochrome must be the cover photo for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I know that there is a filmmaker who did some filming with that, but basically it's a really expensive film to buy, and it is a slide film. It's not a negative film as such, but it's a E6 development film. But basically that would be something that would be interesting to see. So yeah, if anybody out there knows about someone who can sell me false color infrared film that doesn't break the bank, drop a comment in the comment section below, because that would be interesting to shoot compared to the black and white SFX. This is also a brilliant film, by the way, but it would be really cool to do some color infrared film. So yeah, I know that Lomography do the Lomography purple and the turquoise, but I think those are not real IR films. But anyway, we're gonna use the Agfa Optima 200 ISO shot at 100 ISO because it's over a decade out of date. But that's all for me for now, and in the next video we're gonna start doing the actual the actual shots with flash. So see you then. So for all intents and purposes, this is Tobias Bergström from T.B.Photo X1.5 to FX, and I'd like to see you guys in the next video. And as you're supposed to say in this YouTube malarkey, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.